hate them.
Yeah, we can trade photos here. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, again.
Let me get very far ahead. There we go. Good afternoon. St. Louis County Government's Department of Revenue is responsible for some of the most visible and essential public services in St. Louis County. The most visible public services the St. Louis County government provides. They issue marriage license, liquor license, and amusement license. It's the office that records deeds, collects taxes, collects back taxes, and the collector of revenue serves to distribute those funds to over 200 political subdivisions in St. Louis County, fire districts, municipalities, and school districts. The Department of Revenue generates about $26 million of fees for providing those services. However, the department this year was only appropriated $10 million to perform those duties. And despite the significant contributions that the department provides to county government, the county council cut another $1 million from the budget this year. This comes when the department is already understaffed and being asked to start new programs and to take on more responsibilities. Those responsibilities include standing up the new senior tax freeze program that is now in its second year. And the Revenue Department has also been inundated with requests for documents for residents who are applying for the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, known as RECA, to get those essential documents to allow them to receive compensation from the federal government. The wait time in county government to receive these documents now are almost 4 months. These include property tax deeds, marriage license, and tax receipts. We understand the frustrations of the residents. We're hearing from them. But because of budget cuts, we have fewer people who can answer the phones, fewer people that can answer questions, fewer people that can help in person, and the wait times are getting longer. Cutting the Department of Revenue's budget is a deliberate decision to not assist people who are trying to get documents to apply for help from the federal government for exposure to radioactive waste. Cutting the Department of Revenue's budget is a deliberate decision to not assist residents who are trying to sign up for the senior property tax freeze program. And cutting the Department of Revenue's budget is a deliberate decision from preventing residents from getting their questions answered about their property tax. And those long lines at the end of the year, those long lines at December 31st, when people are waiting to pay those taxes, well, they'll get longer if the county council continues to disinvest in the core services of county government. And we've heard from residents over and over again. We want you to continue to provide these essential services that we have come to expect. If you need more funding for more employees, the way to connect services to residents, then you need to do that. And so far, the county council has ignored those requests. And they have said, well, come back in June or July, we may release some more money. So to our residents that need these services, I will only say, I'm sorry that providing these services is not a priority for the county council. Now, the Department of Revenue also enforces liquor license, and last month, a federal judge determined that the video lottery terminals, the VLTs, were illegal gambling devices under Missouri law. They should be removed from businesses. And in St. Louis County, the Department of Revenue is responsible for issuing those liquor licenses, for renewing liquor licenses, and making sure that they are being held in compliance with county ordinances. And that's what our Department of Revenue will do. St. Louis County has more than 400 liquor license holders. And these licenses are held in the unincorporated areas of St. Louis County. Notices have been sent to all of them that the VLTs are considered illegal gambling devices under Missouri law and shouldn't be used in the presence of a liquor license. These machines are frequently found at gas stations, at convenience stores, and other stores. But to enforce these this ordinance is we need inspectors to go into the businesses and make sure that they are in compliance with the conditions of their liquor license. The Department of Revenue hasn't had liquor license inspectors for at least 15 years. There's currently a request before the County Council to add $200,000 to the budget of the Department of Revenue to add 2 additional inspectors to make sure that these machines aren't operating in businesses that hold county liquor license. So far, the County Council hasn't expressed any interest in providing this funding. And that presents a new problem. One, it sends a message to our liquor license holders that enforcing the county ordinances around the liquor license is not a priority. Second, it sends a false message to the people of St. Louis County that St. Louis County is not committed to enforcing the law of the land. And it also sends a message, the wrong message, that illegal gambling is acceptable in St. Louis County, in bars and restaurants and gas stations. These machines aren't taxed like regular gambling machines in casinos where they're licensed and regulated. And last week, the county prosecutor and the attorney general had a joint press release that they would begin enforcement in St. Louis County. And in that announcement, Attorney General Hanaway stated that these businesses who are ignoring the law and put these machines in our community are creating a magnet for more criminal activity. So without liquor license inspectors, we plan to use our code enforcement officers to help enforce the ordinances of St. Louis County. Now, these code enforcement officers generally are responsible for problem property inspections, so some of that work may slow a little bit. The details of this enforcement program are being put together now, but our inspectors will be fanning out across St. Louis County to make sure that our liquor license holders are in compliance with the county ordinance. And if they're not in compliance, then they will get a sticker that looks much like this one on their door. This is a violation notice of your liquor license. So if these machines are not removed, then the liquor license can be suspended or revoked by the Director of Revenue. So this takes me back to the council's original budget reductions and the ongoing impact that they're having on county services, on our ability to protect our community, on our ability to enforce our county ordinances. The county has money for these essential services that have been reduced. We have money that we can put to work for the community, but the council is holding it back for unknown reasons. The most troubling is the $9 million placed in a special projects legacy fund for yet unknown projects. This money should be used to run county government, to provide these essential services that we've been talking about. We also have $115 million in the NFL settlement fund. This fund has not yet been disclosed. It's not yet been disclosed by the county council what they would like to use these funds for. But meanwhile, services are being cut. These funds could be used to provide essential county services. And as the books closed on the 2025 budget, we found that we had an unanticipated $15 million more in revenue than in expenses. Now, more revenue than expenses at the end of the year is a good thing, but we don't want to lose that momentum. We should be reinvesting that and providing essential services for county government. Let's put the county taxpayer funds to work for the taxpayer services. Now, I've highlighted 3 areas where I think we can do the most good with additional funding. A well-funded Department of Revenue protects residents from illegal gambling. A well-funded Department of Revenue makes sure that residents can pay their taxes and get their questions answered smoothly. A well-funded Department of Revenue allows residents to apply for the Senior Property Tax Freeze program and get their questions answered. It allows St. Louis County to continue to provide their services effectively. But with these cuts, we will have more delays, frustrations will grow, the impact on public safety will increase, no additional funding is provided, then the Department of Revenue won't have enough resources to meet payroll by July. And then we'll be talking again about furloughing county employees. And with less county employees, that means less services and longer lines, and that's not acceptable. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
How likely is furlough if nothing changes?
Well, it's our own choice. If we don't have additional resources for county government, then I don't want to lay people off. I know in the city of St. Louis they've been talking about that, and I'm not familiar with the details of their budget, but furloughs are probably where we're headed if we don't have additional resources for the budget.
Especially with furloughs in mind, why is the county trying to take the lead on enforcing the law around these VLTs when even you acknowledge prosecuting attorney is going to be working with the Attorney General on this? Why not keep that $200,000 for these 2 employees and use that to help keep people from potentially being laid off in a few months?
You know, well, first of all, I'm glad that the prosecuting attorney is working with the Attorney General, and in 3 months that their enforcement action will start. The prosecuting attorney has discretion to what they will prosecute and when they will prosecute. In St. Louis County, we have ordinances that we need to enforce, and it's our duty to enforce. It's an administrative rule to enforce those ordinances, and we need to do it. If we don't get the additional money for the Department of Revenue, then we'll use our code enforcement officers like we've been doing for years, and we'll make do. But the Department of Revenue needs more money for a whole lot of things that I mentioned, not just enforcement of liquor license and recognition of the illegal gambling that's taking place around those liquor licenses. They also need money to help with the senior property tax freeze program. They need money for people who are asking questions about their taxes. They need money. They really need money for the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act documents, so these people can apply for this federal program before the program expires.
But then with all that in mind, why is the liquor license seemingly taking the priority here when there's all these other things going on? And the prosecuting attorney has said she is going to be prosecuting those who illegally have these VLTs.
So, as I said before, the prosecuting attorney has discretion on what to prosecute and when to prosecute. St. Louis County government, this is an administrative regulation. This is our duty. If we have liquor licenses, it's our duty to enforce the ordinances and to make sure that there's not illegal gambling with the liquor license. It's one of the many requirements that we have to do in St. Louis County government, and we're going to do our best to get that done with the resources we have, or the resources we're allowed to have. It's one of the many things that we're going to do, along with senior property tax freeze applications, which we're doing our best to get those done, with getting the RICA documents out, which we're 4 months behind. That $26 million that our Department of Revenue earns through its fees in collecting and distributing $2.3 billion worth of taxes to fire districts and school districts and municipalities, that $26 million could be, some of that could be redirected to make sure the function and operations of the Department of Revenue is more robust. Right now, they're getting $10 million a year to do what they need to do.
Regarding furloughs, you said it appears that's where we're headed. You mean in the revenue department?
And furloughs in county government in general.
Oh, in general, we're talking about.
Yeah, we're looking at each department line by line, and if we don't have enough resources to fund them, then we'll have to talk about furloughs. This concept that we'll live on a monthly allowance or a quarterly allowance, that's not how governments work. They don't live on a monthly allowance or a quarterly allowance. Maybe we'll give you some money later, we'll see. We get a budget at the end of the year, or the beginning of the year, and we provide the services that we can provide with those limited funds. That's how government works.
So the furloughs, if they happen, would be what, summertime?
Summertime, right?
Okay. And like roughly how many people could?
We'll see what resources we have, and we'll see if the county council releases any of these funds that are available to continue county operations normally. In the meantime, we need a long-term solution to this budget gap that we've had for 20 years in county government, since 2007 and 2008. Expenditures have exceeded revenues. We've plugged the gap with one-time funds. We have the one-time funds to plug that gap this year, and for some unknown reason, the county council has decided this year we're not going to plug it.
Now regarding furloughs, I think last week you said you were kind of looking at the possibility of furloughs of 2 weeks in length. Is that what you're still looking at?
That's what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
And we'll see what we need to do based on the
And
resources
just to
we have.
clarify, you're not saying necessarily that every employee would be furloughed, you're gonna look and see.
Yeah, the question is, will every employee be furloughed? And we don't know if any employee will be furloughed. It depends on if we get the resources that we normally get to run county government, or we take this new turn, historic new turn, where we don't use our one-time funds to keep normal operations of county government going.
Is there, if nothing changes, council doesn't do anything different, is it possible that every county employee would be furloughed, or a significant number? Can you put a number on it?
So
Dozens, hundreds, thousands?
the question is about hypothetical
Sure, yeah.
scenarios with furloughs that depends on budget decisions that haven't been made yet, and I can't possibly answer that. I can tell you that we've heard some local governments talk about layoffs. We would like to not go in that direction. If we don't have enough money appropriated to meet payroll, then we'll look at furloughs and we'll try and keep everybody's job intact.
So you don't know right now if nothing were to change, they weren't to give you more money, the Rams money wouldn't be tapped into, you're not sure what percentage of St. Louis County employees could be furloughed for 2
Yeah,
weeks?
so the question is about the percentage of St. Louis County employees that need to be furloughed. That's a question that's based on a budget that isn't yet together. So we've gotten a partial budget for the year. We've got a reduction, we've got a budget that's been appropriated that doesn't allow us to provide the services we provided last year. Last year, there was a significant activity of supplemental appropriations that allowed us to provide our services, allowed us to give our employees raises, allowed us to do all the things we've normally done in county government for the past 20 years. And this year, the decision was made to reduce the budget below our ability to provide these essential services. So you're starting to see some cuts. There's more coming because there's not enough money appropriated to provide these services. And if the money doesn't come, then we will do what we can with the resources we have and do our best to keep county government going.
How many employees do we have in County Cover roughly?
There's about 4,000 employees.
Now, does that include police, or is that
Yes,
separate?
that 4,000 employees includes police. Any other questions?
While we have you here, your trial was delayed, can you speak to that?
No, I'll refer you to my attorneys about the trial. I think that I can just tell you that that's very clearly a selective prosecution, that I look forward to telling that story when the time comes and the documents have been filed, that I can tell it very clearly, and I would encourage you to look at them. Yes?
With this being kind of a yearly issue, you said going back 20 years, going forward, do you see any method to long-term kind of resolve this issue?
Yes, that's a great question. The solution to the historic gap in revenues and expenditures that we've plugged with one-term funds from various sources for 20 years, the solution to that is to pass the use tax that the county council is considering putting on the ballot. They've considered it twice before and decided not to do it, but there appears to be some momentum now, and that's on their agenda tonight. And I hope they do put that on the ballot. It's supported by the County Municipal League. It's supported by local businesses who think it's unfair that people who shop with them have to pay sales tax for goods, and that their competitors who are online don't have to pay all of those sales taxes. And it's a disadvantage for mom and pop brick and mortar stores in our community. And they supported a use tax as well.
How long would it take, let's assume for purposes of discussion, it passed in August, how long would it take to get ramped up?
Yeah, so the question is, when the sales tax passes, how long before we see the revenue? I don't know the answer to that. It's probably about 6 months, but we'll get you a better answer. I don't like to guess at things like that.
But it's months, it's not immediate.
Well, no, it's several months before that revenue would be available in St. Louis County. We have enough resources in our one-time funds to continue the normal operations of county government. There's no reason to be saving that for special projects that might be good to do if we can't run our Department of Revenue, if we don't have enough money in the police budget to pay the police officers, or enough money in other budgets to do what we've promised to do to fulfill our software contracts and all these things we're going to be talking about. We should be running the essential services of county government, and the extra things that aren't our usual and customary job, that's extra, and if we have money, we should do that. If we get the use tax passed, and we use some of our one-time funds to run county government for the year. There'll be plenty of one-time funds left when the use tax is coming in to do a few projects in the community. We have the opioid settlement funds that are very limited in what they can be used for, but that will be available. We should have some NFL settlement funds left to do some unique things in the community, but I don't think we should do any of that until we can provide the essential core services of county government.
With the use tax, is there any concern it might not pass, considering the economy at large right now, inflation's ticking back up, and with the war in the Middle East, gas prices are
Yeah,
quickly
last
rising as
time,
well?
that's a good point. We put that on the ballot 3 or 4 years ago, and as soon as we put it on the ballot, a month later, gas went up $1 a gallon, and the appetite for a new tax kind of faded pretty quickly. I hope we can make the argument, certainly the war in Iran is going to impact our economy significantly. It's going to impact gas prices. It's going to impact food prices because of the fertilizer market for farming. But we're going to make our argument to county government, to residents in St. Louis County, that we need these resources. If you want to see a normal functioning county government, we're running out of one-time funds. Now, we had our town halls, we had our listening sessions 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, when the NFL funds first arrived. And we listened to people in St. Louis County, and they all told us the same thing: don't increase our taxes if you have money in the bank to run county government. Don't ask us for a tax increase. And we listened to them, and we've waited. But we can't continue to provide these essential services as people have become used to them without new revenue. We have, maybe $120 million of one-time funds left, and we'll need a chunk of that to get through this year to continue to provide the services and to pay our employees. And we really can't wait much longer to get this use tax done without making cuts that people will very much not like. I don't think the cuts we've made are so far reducing hours, closing the West County office, closing 2 of our 4 swimming pools this summer. Those aren't popular, and there's more to come because we don't have a choice.
Obviously, the economy is hard to predict further down the road, but if things don't look like they're improving in the next couple of months, economy at large, would there be any consideration to putting this on the November ballot instead of on the August ballot? Obviously, that would
I
hurt
would
potential
imagine
revenue.
that they'll put this on the August ballot, and if it doesn't pass, they'll put it on the November ballot, because we need to keep talking to our county residents about this. And as people start to see the impact of these service reductions, they're going to have to make a hard choice. Less services from county government or more revenue to keep the same services going. The cost of running county government goes up just like any business. Our wages have gone up, our fuel prices have gone up, the things we buy to provide services, everything from paper to police cars, they've all gone up. And we can't run county government on what we ran it on 5 years ago. Everything we buy costs more. And if people want the same level of services, then we need more revenue to provide those services. And folks are going to have to decide new revenue for St. Louis County government, like every other local government's done across the country and here in St. Louis region, a use tax. And without that new revenue, pretty dramatic reductions in county services, because we can't buy the same things that we bought 5 years ago.
So you'd be willing to see
Hey,
this?
I just checked with the budget office. They said it would be about 6 months.
6 months before the use tax funds will be available in St. Louis County. So even if it passes in August, we still got to get through this year. We're still going to need access to those one-time funds to pay our employees, pay our police officers, pay our corrections officers, pay the people that build potholes and fix the streets. All these services that people kind of expect to happen and take for granted when they come down here to pay their taxes or pay them online and they want a property tax receipt. We can only process 100,000 tax payments as fast as we can, depending on how many employees we have to open those envelopes. And with the employees we have, it takes us 5 or 6 weeks to get through them all, to get through 100,000 plus envelopes with payments in them. And that's why people didn't get tax receipts in January for payments they sent in December. Some of them didn't get the receipts till February.
With you saying if it fails in August, you want to see it again in November, is
Sure.
long-term if it fails, just keep putting it in front of voters
I
until
think we'll
eventually
keep
there's
putting
a
in front of voters as we keep cutting services, and voters will have to make a choice, less services or new revenue. And that's where we're gonna be. There's not a lot of options in government or any business, less services or more revenue. If you're in a service-based business, and government is a service-based business, we're providing services to our community, so, they can run their businesses, so they can get around town, they can get to work in school, so they can feel safe in their community. Our police department's first class.